Hey guys, what is going on? I'm Scott with 3 Guns Down as always, and this is some more Call of Duty Ghosts gameplay. I know I said yesterday that it's not coming back, but guess what? It came back. The only reason why I'm doing this, and you know what? I'm probably gonna do it because it's just quick and easy gameplay of shooting stuff that people like to watch, and occasionally I do enjoy the game when I'm playing with a bunch of friends. It's a lot of fun, but there's still so many fucking issues in this game that I just want to punch it in the goddamn throat. Kill times, spawn rates, just the unfairness of everything, and oh yeah, they totally have dedicated hosts, dedicated servers. They're fucking lying out there. It's rolling out in stages, so you don't have dedicated servers. No, we have dedicated servers. They're just rolling out in stages. Fuck off. Regardless, despite of Infinity Ward's colossal cock-up with Call of Duty, we're not talking about Call of Duty today. We are talking about the Xbox One and the Xbox One exclusives that are coming out Friday. As you all know, the Xbox One is coming out Friday, Thursday midnight release. I've yet to get one, but I am trying very, very hard to get my hands on one. And a game, Embargo, was released, Forza 5, and it has been getting a lot of really good reviews. Adam Susser gave it a 5 out of 5. IGN pretty much gave it a 9. It was an 8.8. Their only complaint with the game is that it's just not as broad and as wide as Forza 4 was. But I can tell you right now, Turn 10 will probably expand and add everything that they can with online DLC. And given the track record of the community about how vocal they are with things, I will say that if we're vocal enough with it, they'll probably give it to us for free. For instance, like, why are these cars? The Porsche was not in Forza 4 anywhere, and then they had an entire DLC that added every single Porsche car that they could think of, all the way back from the early 70s and 60s to today. So if you bitch and complain enough, they do listen, and they do pretty much do what you want them to. Because otherwise they don't have sales, and otherwise they get a bad rap, and they don't want that. So anyway, moving on to it's been getting a lot of really good reviews. The launch title getting a lot of really good reviews. What? Are you kidding me? How could a launch title be getting a lot of really good reviews? Oh my god. And the PS fanboys are hating so fucking. It is hilarious. Go read Rev3 Games, Adam Susser's review of Forza Motorsport 5. He absolutely loved the game, and he's not a die-hard racing simulator. He's not into racing games that much at all, really. And he absolutely loves the game. And the PS fanboys are fucking shitting bricks. They hate it to death. It's impossible. No, I'm sorry, it can't have a good review that just goes against. No. The PlayStation 4 did not really have any actual good release games. Killzone Shadowfall was meh, it was okay. They were pretty much all average. Now, the Xbox One has had its fair share of average games for the release. Loco Cycle, a couple of the other indie games that are coming out on it that aren't really big AAA production titles. Yeah, they're average, admittedly. But you know what? Most launch titles are. But Forza 5 getting a good review, a really good review. And everyone's losing their shit. The PS fanboys are having a goddamn crisis. Grow the fuck up. It's better than anything the PlayStation 4 has right now. So what? I don't understand how you can be 40 years old and act like a child when it comes to a gaming console. Look, personally for me, I want both consoles to do good. I want them both to have really good titles, and I want them both to succeed and continually grow the gaming market. Those two are the key points for growing the gaming market that we use out of this argument entirely. Don't even try. But they both are here to grow the market. And I'm going to buy both. I'm going to play on both. I want Uncharted. I want a good Killzone game. Unfortunately, we didn't get one. I want Infamous Second Son. I want these games to be good. And Sony does some things better than Microsoft, and Microsoft does some things better than Sony. Microsoft has undoubtedly captured the first-person shooter market much better than Sony has. Not sure why, not sure what circumstances led up to that, but they just have. And the numbers fully back that. If you want to go look at the sales for Call of Duty on the Xbox and the sales for Call of Duty on the PlayStation, year after year after year, they're constantly better on the Xbox. Constantly. And now Xbox has Battlefield 4 content first and Call of Duty content first. So if you want anything first, go to Xbox. But you know, they've undoubtedly captured the first person shooter market better. Sony's done a much better job at imports, not imports necessarily, but more Japanese developers. For instance, Deep Down for the PlayStation 4, I think Deep Down is going to look really, really good, and I don't think you're going to find anything close to that on the Xbox One anywhere anytime soon, if that game does turn out to be good, which I think it will. And, you know, like I said, you're not going to find, I don't think you will anyway, unless, you know, Microsoft pulls a wizard out of their ass. I don't think you're going to find anything like that on the Xbox One. They both have their strong suits, they both have their strong points. Now, Forza 5 and Gran Turismo 6. First off, Gran Turismo 6, they take way too much fucking time to develop their game. There's taking time to develop your game, which is understandable, and then there's just taking your sweet fucking time because you're lazy, and that's what I believe the developers of Gran Turismo 6 are doing. I have played Gran Turismo 6. It's not really better than Forza 4. It's kind of dependent on taste. Although I would say to a casual audience that doesn't play racing games, they would probably like Forza better just because it allows the casual audience to come in easier and it gives the hardcore players more what they want. From my experiences with Forza 3 and Forza 4 and Gran Turismo 3, 4, and 5. I have not played Forza 5 yet, of course. Um, and so, you know, that's my experience with Forza versus Gran Turismo. And I love it to death that all these PlayStation 4 fanboys are shitting themselves over the fact that an Xbox One game got a launch title got a good review. They can't stand it because the PlayStation 4 does not have a single game that does not have an average above an 80 Metacritic score right now. They cannot stand it. And I think that's hilarious. You know, get over it. Get over yourself. Your console's not any better than the Xbox One. And the Xbox One is not better than the PlayStation 4. They are on pretty equal footing grounds. However, I do want to talk about the problems that the PlayStation 4 is having as well. PlayStation 4 has been having a lot of issues like overheating and the HDMI ports and things like that. And PlayStation right now is saying it's only 0.4% that's affecting the industry. However, they think their comment on only 0.4% being affected in the industry was about the HDMI ports and the blue line that signals your console's pretty much bricked and dead. Um, as far as overheating issues go, assumptively that's all PlayStations if you play it for a long time, 7-8 hour period, because it's so small and it's not very well ventilated or cooled. Uh, and you know, everyone's saying, "Oh, well, the PlayStation 4 is smaller, showing how smart Sony is." No, that actually kind of shows how stupid Sony is. I actually suspect that we might see another iteration of the PlayStation 4 within a year because of the very poor ventilation and cooling on that system. It is not less powerful than the Xbox One. It is not more powerful than the Xbox One. Everyone thinks the PlayStation 4, by the way, is more powerful than the Xbox One. It's not. They are very, very equal in terms of hardware capabilities. What is more difficult for the Xbox One is development ability. The API is harder to interact with. Microsoft hasn't given them low-level access hardware. Now, that being said, a developer that is developing an Xbox One exclusive, they're going to be working very hard on their game. They're going to be working solely on that game, and so with enough developmental time, it can look just as good as a PlayStation 4 game, and if not better. It's all dependent on the developer and how much time they want to put developing into that consoles. Now, it does mean that porting will be a little harder over to the Xbox One, and it does mean that developmental cycles may be a little bit longer for the Xbox One. And that is a drawback, and Microsoft can always update this with patches, with software updates, perhaps with different hardware in the future if they choose to attack this at different angles, and they can definitely make this easier on developers. So no, PlayStation 4 is not even close to being more powerful than the Xbox One. Everyone thinks, oh well, it's those 8 gigs of GDDR5. All that does is relay system memory information. It's not how much power the GPU can put out. It's not how much power the CPU can put out. It's just relaying information back and forth through the system. And the reason why they have 8 gigs of GDDR5 is because they flash RAM their OS onto the RAM. So you're actually not getting nearly as much RAM as you think. You're getting about the same as the Xbox One, and GDDR5 between DDR3 doesn't make too much of a difference either. There's very specific reasons why they put it inside GPUs, and if you want to go look up the reasons and actually create a substantial argument, you'd find there's not really much of an argument there to create in the first place. So, that's out of the way. Neither one of them is really powerful than the other. The Xbox One is a little bit harder to develop for. But they also talked about a few things, some of these developers, and I kind of agree with them at the same point, but on the other hand, I'm like, well, it'd still be nice if it's 1080p at 60 FPS. For instance, Rise is at 900p upscaled 1080. Call of Duty's at 720p upscaled 1080. Forza is at 1080p running 60 FPS. Now, if that shows you anything, that is a Xbox One dedicated developer that is, it's an exclusive, and they've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that they know how to develop right with the system that Xbox has provided them. That's all that is. So yes, these games can be in 1080p on the Xbox One and very easily at 60 FPS. It's just harder to port it over, harder to develop it. And it upscales it to 1080p, so it looks very, 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 very close to 1080p. Honestly, unless you're looking at these things with a microscope, you are not going to notice the difference. So it really doesn't matter. Pick whichever console you like. Pick whichever console you prefer. It's your personal taste. It's your personal preference. I don't see why people get so butthurt about which one's better. It doesn't really matter which one's better. The titles that are going to come out on it are going to come out on it. And if a title sucks, well then a title sucks. And if something goes wrong, something goes wrong. There have been a lot of problems with the PlayStation 4's release. I will be very surprised if there are not any problems with the Xbox One release. If Microsoft does manage to pull that off and has the Xbox One release with very little problems, I'll be very impressed. But I highly doubt that the Xbox One will not have problems. It will have problems. It's a new console. Just like when we had the new Haswell platform, which is a type of processor launch, there were a lot of problems with the Haswell platform when it launched. Even though that was made by Intel and they put years into development and hundreds of millions of dollars into it, there were still problems. So it does not really matter. No matter how much testing you do, because you can't go full scale and introduce this into a million people trying it at once, and you can't introduce this into a million people trying different scenarios, finding different issues, and under different circumstances, you're not going to find and you're not going to ever alleviate all problems on a console launch, a game, a PC. It's just not going to happen. What you can do, though, is a lot of quality control to get rid of those as much as possible and to undermine those problems as much as possible before they rear their ugly head up. Whether Sony did a lot of good quality control in Q&A, I don't know. Maybe not, because of the current state of the PlayStation 4 and how a couple 100,000 people currently have bricked PlayStation 4s and they're not going to get a new one until February. Anyway, guys, what are your comments and thoughts about PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One now that we're here on the 8th generation of console gaming? Which one are you getting and why? I'm Scout with 3 Guns Down. Check out our Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment. I'll see you guys later.